Hello and welcome to Temple of Akasha, the home of embodied spirituality with me, Natasha. So if you're like me and you've pondered the question, what can you truly do to be of service in a world that is so full of suffering, so full of pain, so full of inhumanity and injustice and inequality, you may have come up against confusion or a sense of helplessness. And this is a conversation I was having with my housemate earlier. She's recently got back from hosting retreats in Costa Rica, and she held space for a couple who were really entrenched in that sense of helplessness, powerlessness, and suffering on behalf of the world, to the degree where they were not enjoying their life experience. They were so identified with the suffering of the world that whenever my friend would try and smile at them in the morning and greet them, she'd be like, what is there to smile about? Think about the amount of pain there is in the world. And our conversation really got me thinking about how, as conscious individuals or people on an awakening path, how can we truly be of service in a way that is integrated, in a way that considers the whole, in a way that considers our part in the fabric of life and is not just self-serving. Because what I see a lot in the spiritual communities is essentially capitalism and consumerism masqueraded as spiritual empowerment. So, you know, it's like 6-figure, 7-figure coaches, living luxury lifestyles, and there can be empowerment in that, and that can be a route that you can take to liberate your lineage from poverty, to empower yourself. But for me, the conscious path is one where we're integrated in a sense of connectedness to the whole, and that includes the earth, making sure that our choices are considerate of the earth, of people less, privileged than ourselves. And it can be so difficult on this spiritual path to know what is the highest and most loving choice we can make that both empowers us and also does not position us in a place of authority or hierarchy or power over others who are less privileged. And when you really start to kind of widen your focus and you consider the sheer volume of people in pain, in suffering in the world, it can feel debilitating. It can feel like there is nothing we can do, or that we need to be self-sacrificing and giving. Because we're in places maybe of more privilege than other, we need to self-sacrifice and give, because there wouldn't be enough time in this lifetime to help ease the amount of suffering in the world. And what I've come back to, or rather what has emerged for me recently, is a sense that when we are connected to and following the guidance of the heart, we are serving the whole. So when we take the time to be still, to let the stories fall away of the mind of what we should be doing, and expectations and standards and, past paradigms and blah, 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 blah. When we fall out of the faculty of thinking into loving awareness and presence, which we access through the heart, what I keep being reminded of is that when we are connected to the heart, which is our portal to the field of loving awareness, to the field of oneness, to the singularity at the energetic level that connects us all beyond the physical, beyond the separation that we perceive at the physical. When we connect to heart wisdom and we follow heart wisdom, we are serving the whole. And the guidance I've received is that the heart is innately connected to the field of the infinite and all. It is connected to the state of oneness. It is connected to and a portal to loving awareness. And so can we trust that the wisdom of the heart is informed by what is most needed from us at an individual level by the field? We as individuals cannot possibly hope to abate or dissolve the collective karma on behalf of everyone else, because also we have to recognize that the level of suffering and pain that's being moved through right now is all part of an unfortunate but necessary part of the karmic clearing process. There's no shortcuts, there's no bypassing. the dark has to be witnessed as well as the light. And so at an individual level, there's nothing that we can possibly do as one person to bring the world back to unity consciousness. But each individual following their highest guidance, following their highest heart guidance, creates a field, creates a wave, creates a momentum that then can impact the collective. So we are but individual jigsaw pieces that is part of an infinite and cosmic tapestry, right? And so each jigsaw piece, when we choose to slot into our right and highest place, we help to connect the whole. We help to come back to an integrated place as a whole. So can we trust that the guidance we're receiving at the individual level may not make sense in terms of how we can end world hunger or poverty or enslavement or paedophilia? We may not know at the individual level how the guidance we're receiving is serving the whole. Can we trust that the wisdom of the heart has access to knowing that the mind can never know? Can we trust the knowing beyond the knowing? To me, this is where faith comes in. This comes down to, are we willing to choose to live in the faith that the heart and love knows the way, more than the fear of the ego, more than the conditioning of the past, more than our presumptions about the future? Can we trust that the wisdom of the heart knows the way? And maybe when we tap into our innate guidance from the heart, we are being called to do humanitarian work and directly helping to combat or temper the inequality on the planet. Maybe when we connect to the heart, we are being asked to take time to really support our own individual nourishment and healing. Maybe when we connect to the heart, we're being guided to move, to start something new, to end a relationship, to change our diet, to start a new routine or practice. Again, can we trust the moment-to-moment wisdom and guidance of the heart to know that when we receive directives from the heart, when we receive higher guidance, we are receiving it and it is serving the movement individually and collectively towards integration and wholeness and unification once again? We may not know what that process looks like. We may not know where we're being led. We might not know why we're being led that way, but can we trust that this portal to the unified field knows the way back to wholeness, back to connectedness in a way that our individualized egoic selves can never know and will never know? And I also would like to just bring up at this point that, you know, if we're thinking about this lady that I used as the example earlier who was on retreat and was so entrenched in the suffering of the world, we are on this awakening path to recognize not just the physical 3D world of duality and the implications of our actions in the 3D, but also to recognize the energetic, non-physical reality that underpins this physical reality. And so from the human 3D physical level, getting completely identified with the world's suffering is natural, but what does that do to your individual state of embodiment? What does that do to your individual frequency? I've been in that place before where I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders and it made me miserable. It made me entrenched in fear. It made me feel immense pain and suffering all the time. I couldn't see light because I was just so identified with the fact that we are living in a world of duality, of immense pain and suffering. And so I also think it's our individual responsibility and duty on this path not to bypass and ignore earthly suffering, but at an individual level to ask ourselves what serves me at a day-to-day, moment-to-moment level to not be completely absorbed in this earthly experience where I forget that there is an energetic realm, that there is a unified field, that there is an intelligence, that there is God consciousness that is governing all of this, and that I don't need to take the weight of the world on my shoulders because I don't need to carry this alone. I'm not doing this alone. There is an infinite intelligence far greater than I can possibly understand or know that is divinely orchestrating this experience, and all I need to do is stay in my own lane, continue to serve from the heart, and do what I can at a day-to-day, moment-to-moment level to keep myself anchored in love, joy, gratitude, living from faith as much as I can. So I also believe that while we can, of course, connect with suffering and pain around us, it doesn't serve anyone for us to be identified completely with suffering and pain, because that impacts our vibrational frequency and therefore what we're emitting into the collective. And that then influences the people we meet and interact with. And therefore, our contribution to the collective healing is one of really regression and devolution, because we are not trying to move more towards fear, we're trying to move more towards love. It's a fine line of not bypassing pain, suffering at an individual and collective consciousness level, but also not identifying with pain and suffering as our predominant experience. So what's started to happen for me recently, and I'll maybe make a separate video about this, is that a multidimensional consciousness is opening up within me, where my human experience has been relatively difficult for me recently, in that I'm going through a lot of physical changes and healing. I'm going through some instability, some pain is arising from clearing that is necessary, ancestral clearing specifically. But underlying that is a connection to God, is a connection to the unified field of love. And I feel myself more and more living from faith and trust and holding in that field. And so while I'm honoring a human experience moment to moment, I'm also recognizing that that is not the totality of my experience, that my true nature and the true nature of this experience is not solely confined to the earthly realm. And that allows me to just sink back and to recognize, like, yes, at a day-to-day level we experience ebbs and flows, pain and laughter, happiness, joy, grief, sadness. These are all movements at the 3D level, and beyond that 3D fluctuation there is a loving, spacious presence and state of awareness that's always available to us to rest in. So I really invite you to just examine your own heart and your own heart's guidance if you are someone that does have an awareness of and does feel acutely the pain of the world. You know, highly sensitive people, empaths, people on an awakening journey, generally there seems to be a heightened sense of awareness or acknowledgement of the fact that we are living in a world of duality, and that there is immense pain and suffering unfolding on the planet in a myriad of different ways, and that weight can feel so heavy on us. Can we trust that we don't have to do this alone, that we have God behind us, orchestrating all of this to help clear collective karma? Can we trust that these bodies, this earthly experience, is not the totality of who we are? And so while we are here to honor the earthly experience and our humanity, we're not here to become completely identified with it, that we forget our truly loving and expansive nature beyond the physical. That is what I would like to share with you today. I don't know how it lands with you, but it's been really emerging in my heart recently and being mirrored back to me that we cannot stem the flow of suffering in the world, nor is it our place to. I truly believe that each soul has come into its own individual experience with lessons to learn, karma to clear, and I cannot know the reasons why each individual is incarnated as they have, where they have, in the circumstances they have, but I do know that in each moment we get to choose how we respond to the circumstances and the hand we've been dealt, or maybe the circumstances the soul has chosen for our greatest learning and highest good. And so from that place, that's where we can seek empowerment, that regardless of our earthly conditions and circumstances, regardless of the pain and suffering that we may be moving through or witnessing, we can choose how we respond in each moment. We can choose to respond from love. We can choose to take an empowered response. We can choose to no longer perpetuate old stories and believe in old paradigms, old narratives from the past. We can choose not to view the world through the lens of our history, from our previous experiences. We can choose to recognize that so much of what we perceive, we are perceiving through a lens of the past and our conditioning ancestrally and through our soul lineage. And so can we widen our perceptions to recognize that there is life beyond both joy and happiness, both beyond duality, that there is a presence that can be accessed felt, embodied, experienced at all times that is beyond this earthly experience. And to me, that's the place we rest in as we experience this earthly experience. It's both the human and the divine. That is my journey. And it is one that is truly, you know, that recognition and acknowledgement is truly helping to fortify my field and help me to anchor in my humanity in a way that has been quite profound for me in recent months. So I'm sending you so much love wherever you are on your journey. As always, I invite you to come back to your heart and come back to love if ever you are struggling. If you're not sure what that even feels like, the first thing you need to do is drop from head awareness and the mental realms, the mental capacity, and find the stillness to be with the wisdom of the heart and recognize, or at least consider that the way the heart communicates may not be in a way that you expect. It may not be with really clear thoughts and words as we're used to with the mind. The heart wisdom is often subtle, it's often soft, it's often unwavering. And we do need to be still in order to be able to truly sink in and listen. And it can come to us in many forms: a feeling, an image, a word, a sense, a knowing. But we do need to be still to be able to tap into that innate guidance. But when we do, I believe that that innate guidance, when we listen to it, not only serves us and our highest good, it serves the highest good of all. And it means that whenever we're connected to the heart, we are in service to the whole. Take good care, guys. I really look forward to connecting with you again soon.